everybody. Thanks for stopping by the channel for another Screwy Tuesday. I appreciate your time. Before we get into what we see here, my dog Howie, he's not here right now. He's laying someplace, but I thought I would just show you a couple of photos of Howie. It's his birthday this Friday. He'll be 6 years old. We got him when he was 2 years old, and the day he met me, he fell in love with me, and I fell in love with him, and he follows me and has to be with me whenever he can. He understands that I have to go to work every day, but he's there in the window waiting when I get home. So here's a couple photos of Howie. Here's Howie in his bed in the family room. The next photo, he's in our master bed. He always gets into my spot where I sleep, whether the bed is made or not. There he's snuggled in. And then here's a chair I sit in every morning, have my cup of coffee, and as soon as I get up, he gets in the chair. All right, back from Howie, my good buddy. Before we, I got a little more discussion, just some updates before we get into this. Friday, no, let's go back, Wednesday or Thursday last week, a fella that lives very close to my work, retired machinist, had some items for sale on Craigslist. It took a couple of phone calls before we finally hook up, and geez, I had at least a couple hour meeting with him. Basically a CNC guy, and still has a CNC he runs, and I got to spend some time with him, and he showed me the setup on the machine. And he doesn't run G-code on the machine. It's like a direct input. I really don't understand if the software that's built into the CNC. Looked pretty simple. It almost looked like I could figure it out, but pretty neat. He showed me a lot of the different items that he still builds. So that was a great day. And then Friday, my good friend Chewy, my mentor, he's a retired tool maker who's moved away. He lives a couple hours away. Well, he came down for the afternoon on Friday. Him and his wife ended up spending the evening having dinner. Their daughter came over, had a fantastic time. Well, earlier in the day, I helped him rebuild the stand for his crane. He has some difficulty lifting the chucks, and he put a little crane there, and I rebuilt the stand for him. We had a great time, great day. So on to Saturday, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I get a phone call from my buddy Flea Market Dave, and that's what this is about. If you recall, somewhere in the past, one of my videos, we went and picked up a radial arm drill press for Dave. It's a Kennedy Auto. Here's a couple of photos of it. And he called and said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm just in the shop." So I go, "Come on down." So he came over and he brought me this. In one of my previous videos, I made these nuts for a different shaft that he got. He was replacing the shaft on the unit. The Acme nuts I made for it, and I showed that in a previous video. It was a lot of fun producing these for him. Well, he brought me the whole shaft, and this is the original handle. For the unit, and the original gear that raises and lowers the table. And you can see there's a brand new gear here. Well, he wanted to replace this gear, so he ended up buying the 2 new gears so that he could replace it. Well, the bore on this gear is different than the bore here. It's a loose fit. So we talked about how we could adapt, whether we drill and bush this, make a new stem. We talked about a few things, and finally decided, well, let's go ahead and make a new stem. So I'm going to click over to some videos off of my phone, and then I'm going to do some voiceover on those, and then we'll come back. So Dave and I decided to make a new stem and single point the thread. Well, it didn't turn out so good. We were rushing, and by mistake the compound got set at the wrong angle, and I was trying to show Dave how to use the ELSR on the 10EE, and anyway, the threads they weren't cut right. So we had to shut down Saturday evening, and you'll see a video now where, although Dave did not want me to continue on, I had to prove that I could get the threads cut. Just a test. This is a shot here on the clausing lathe. I'm cutting a 20 thousandths thick brass shim that will sit under the gear on the stem. This was a mock-up to show Dave of the new stem in place with the gear on it, and then also the stem with the shim below the gear. This is a quick video of boring out the nut so that it would fit on the shaft. Just love the smell of that smoke and the view of it, along with the sound of the machine. This is a shot of the nut that I just bored, and I took it upon my own decision to cut the threaded portion off of the shaft, and decided on a different method to retain the gear on the shaft. Here's a shot of parting off a piece of Monel shafting to create the top cap to retain the gear, and then a little mock-up of everything in place as I sent it to Dave, since he was actually working. Okay, well, we're back from that, and so had the original gear. We opted to make a new shaft. As you saw, we were cutting. I discussed about cutting the threads on the lathe. So we have a new shaft that's going in here. There's the 20 thousandths shim that measured to put in the bottom here for the gear to ride on for the tooth mesh. And then the new gear fits sweet on there. And he was real big that he wanted, you know, it was a major concern. He wanted full engagement of the handle. And you can see how loose that is. Well, we ended up using a coupler nut, which is the right size, and fitted the coupler nut onto here. He'll end up welding the coupler nut to this gear, so that'll create the drive with the handle. And then I ended up making a little cap piece for it that'll hold everything in place. So it was a situation where Dave really wanted to be here and be involved in it. And on Sunday we had no cable, no TV, no phone, no internet, no nothing. And day and a half, it didn't come on till sometime this morning on Monday. I was bored, so I went and finished it for him. So he'll get to do the welding at least. So that was the happenings in the shop. and appreciate you stopping by. Hope you enjoyed. Always want to tell you to hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. It continues to grow, and I'm always trying to bring you new content. Thanks again for stopping by the shop. This is a coil pack off a Mercedes, and it's held in place with a Torx, which my son had stripped out on his car. Tried many methods to remove the head, so I finally actually ground a chisel so that it had two blades on it, and when I drove it into the Torx, what was left of it, it bit, and then as I twisted it, of course, it started to cut into the cavity there, and got a nice bite so that we could actually remove the Torx out of there, and he'll get a new Torx bolt for it. So you'll see here at the end the way I ground the chisel. There's what's left of the